right, so that link is in the chat, and as long as you're logged in with your PVUSD account, which you are, you'll be able to open that up in a new tab if you want, or just save it to your drive for reference later on.
Let's save it to my drive. Okay.
Okay. All right, so we're going to just go through this list and in the next 45 minutes tell you kind of everything that you'll need to know and where to get more questions answered later on. We'll begin with the network logins. If you're here, you already know that you need to log in, with your first name, last name, and that's the same structure for everyone in the district. So for the most part, if you know someone's first and last name, you can find them on Gmail. There are a few exceptions. I know Roanne was mentioning her principal, Brooke Hopkins, is actually Jennifer Hopkins. So, and some people have a different nickname they use. You got to know their payroll name. That's what they're using for their network accounts. But that same login username will be your access to all of the programs that the district purchases for teachers. So Google Classroom, Gmail, all the Google Suite, Pear Deck, Padlet, anything that you use that the district sponsors is going to be your network login.
Can I add something there?
Yes, please.
If you go, so if you're not sure, like you were saying, Jennifer or Brooke Hopkins, you can go to contacts.google.com, and that'll be where you could search our directory. So you could search for teachers there. Sometimes there's their extension or what school site they work at.
And thank you. Please interrupt as we go, Janie. I'll take a step back and introduce myself. My name is Kate Friels, and I have Janie Islas and Melissa Shaw here with me, and all three of us are District Technology Innovation Coaches, and our job is to support teachers with technology use. I'll be going through how to contact us later on in this. It's on this document, and so we answer the phone to support teachers with, hey, I have a quick Google Classroom question, or how do I do this in Remind or Seesaw? And then we also work one-on-one with teachers and groups of teachers to plan lessons, plan units, and look for ways to innovate your lessons with technology. So let's move along to the accounts portal. And this is where you would go to reset your password, or to request account changes, like if you move to a different school site, or you want to be added to a distribution list. If you're new to your school site, you might find that I'm not getting all these emails that my principal is sending out, or I'm not getting that email from the director of technology. And that's where you would go to check on your distribution lists. And you can also submit a help ticket to be added onto different distribution lists. It's linked on this document here, and you can also get there from the PVUSD website. So pvusd.net, and most everything I'm going to show you today is found in this Tech Links section right here. So you click on that Tech Links button. That takes you to all of the links that are put here by the technology department, and here's the accounts portal right here. And again, you would sign in with, once you click on accounts portal, there's these three options. The standard password reset page is the one you'll use most often. If you forgot your password, you might call the help desk and they'll reset it to a standard, not secure password that'll let you get in, and then you can go and reset it to something more secure.
Yeah, and I think you can reset your password from the school or from home, but if you want to request account changes, I think you have to be within the network, so at a school site.
Thank you. I think that's correct. It says here this is only available on the PVUSD network. Next up is the tech support section. So if you wanted help with organizing your drive, that would be the teacher support hotline. You could call our number there to schedule an appointment with one of us, or you could submit a help ticket. So the help desk at 786 Tech is open from 7:30 to 4 each day, 7:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, on school days, so closed on holidays. And that's for our technicians. So if you had a question about your hardware, like the camera on my Chromebook isn't working, or how do I set up the smart TV in my classroom, or how do I use the Chromebox? Our technicians would be the ones to help. And quick questions can just be fielded by calling 786-TECH. If you have a more involved thing like my Chromebook's broken, or I need someone to come into my classroom and hook up my projector, that's when you would submit a help ticket, because it's probably going to take scheduling someone to come out. But for quick questions about hardware, printing, device setup, etc., 786-TECH. For quick questions about instructional programs like Google Classroom, Seesaw, Pear Deck, etc., you can call extension 2488 to reach one of us, district coaches. And for anything, you can submit a help ticket. But just sometimes when you have a quick question, it's easier to make a phone call. So from the Quicklinks tab, you can submit a help ticket. And that takes you right into our Service Desk Plus platform. And there's two options when you get there. I believe one is I'd like to report an issue, and one is I'm in search of a solution. I just want to give you a heads up. You want to report an issue. If you choose I'm in search of a solution, it'll give you some options for questions that have already been answered, sort of like an FAQ. Sometimes you can find what you're looking for there, but most often when you want to submit a help ticket, it's for something very specific, and I suggest choosing the report an issue option.
And I just wanted to add about that, about the help tickets. Like Kate's going to talk about the site techs, but if your site tech at your site can help you with any of your issues, but the feedback we get from them is that it's best to put in a help ticket, even if you talk to them or emailed them, because that's the way they make sure they get to your issue. That's the way they organize the requests.
Thank you, Janie. And so Janie just segued right in for us to site technicians versus district technicians. Each school site has an assigned technician who's usually there 2 or 3 days a week. Most site techs work for 2 different schools, so they split their time during the week. But you'll want to familiarize yourself with who your site tech is, make sure and get to know them. They're all really nice and very helpful. And so we've got their schedule linked here from our support page. And if you scroll down on this page, it shows each school, so you can find your school. If you teach at Ansoldo, you know that David H. is your site technician, and he's there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then our district technicians also might respond to your help ticket. There are some repairs and support requests that would be handled by a district technician. We also have a tech liaison at every school site, and that's a full-time teacher, so they have a full-time job as a teacher, and this is just something extra that they do to support their school site. It's important to keep that in mind. Both Janie and Melissa used to be tech liaisons for their school sites, and their role there is to assist with tech integration and offer curricular support. So kind of like the kind of questions that we answer, hey, how do I do this with Google Classroom? How do I add a student to my Google Classroom? Or how do I assign work in Google Classroom? Or how do you use your classroom setup, your projector? What are some tips there? They might offer some trainings at staff meetings, and they're a good person to check with first about any kind of support you need, and they can point you in the right direction. And we have that list linked here as well. So if you want to find out who your tech liaison is, you can click there. And so I know H.A. Hyde, that would be Vicki Sanchez, and she's a new tech liaison this year, so she might not have all the answers right away, but we'll get her ready to go this year. And then Valencia, that's TJ Miller. And Josette, would you remind me what school you're at? And you might be working on something else, so no worries. But if you want unmute and let us know. We can kind of customize our training today to make sure we tell you about your site specifically. And if not, it's all linked on this document. Your tech liaison can help with password changes if needed. The office manager at your site can help with that as well. They have access to that accounts portal and can help with those things. Anything that they're not able to help with, can call the help desk. Now let's talk about some of the cool tech that you all have at your disposal. We have really great network infrastructure throughout PVUSD, and there's high-speed wireless access in every classroom and instructional space. So you shouldn't have any issues connecting to the internet any place that you teach at your school. And then in each classroom, over the past few years, we've worked on the Intelligent Classroom project, and we've got good hardware in each classroom, which includes these following things. There's a 70-inch smart TV and an audio distribution system. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. I believe that's called the Juno. You might see that tall white speaker attached to your wall, and it comes with a microphone so you can project your voice without having to raise it. A document camera, and a Chromebox. And that's just a little black box attached to your smart TV. And then there's a wireless keyboard, should be somewhere in your room, which has a trackpad on it. And that can be handy for a sub coming into your class. If you wanted a sub to present some digital materials, they can log in as a guest on that Chromebox and present a video or other online content without needing you to leave your laptop there, or without them having to have a network login. So that's handy for that. The trackpad and wireless keyboard are not very easy to use, so I don't recommend that you use that as a regular instructional tool, but it can be handy for some situations, or maybe having a student present their work. You'll want to have your laptop connected to that smart TV. That's going to be easier to operate. And you should have an HDMI connection to that TV, where you should be able to switch between presenting a paper under your document camera and presenting something from your laptop. And if you need any support with that, again, your site tech and liaison are good to reach out to first, because they are on site, and those things are really helpful to be there physically to show how to operate. But you can always put in a help ticket to have someone come out to help with that. And we have a whole page of our PVUSD website devoted to this Intelligent Classroom project, which is a good place to start to learn about these different tools that you have in your classroom. So there's a little video here about how to connect and work your TV, document camera, and audio system, and then a little bit more information about the Chromebox and that audio system. There's also some links here about setting up your document camera, your TV. So that's a good place to start for support with those. For Chromebooks, all of our sites are now one-to-one take-home. So there's enough Chromebooks in the district for your students to each have their own that they can take home and bring back. In case they are still learning the responsibility of bringing it back and forth and keeping it charged, there should be a couple of loaner carts on each campus that students can borrow a Chromebook for just for the day. They need to return that at the end of the day. No taking home those loaners, or they would run out quick. And you'll have 2 power adapters in your class to let a student charge their Chromebook if needed. And we want all students to have wireless access high speed at home. And so if needed, they can request a hotspot, and they should start by talking to the principal if they need to request a hotspot. But I recommend they get it set up at their home, hardwired wireless access, and they can do that through Cruise.io. That's a local internet provider that is offering free internet access for 12 months for all families in our district. And there's a link here where they can go to apply. So you can share this link with any families who are in need of internet access. And when they go to this website, it asks them for a sign-up code. And that is listed right here on this document. So you can share that code with them. And if they speak Spanish, they can just click right on this first, it says haga clic aquí, and it'll translate the page into Spanish. And again, they'd enter that code here. After a year, they wouldn't be able to get that internet access for free, but they have 12 months to prepare for it, and then they begin a sliding scale, I believe, or there is low cost for Cruise.io internet, and that's great internet. And then all teachers have Chromebooks available to them. You should already have gotten one issued to you. And if not, you can connect with your site principal or your tech liaison to request a teacher Chromebook if needed. And those are also new devices that have fast processing speed and should do everything you need. Next up, our digital learning resources website that we are super proud of. It's linked here, but I'll show you how to get to it from the PVUSD website. It's one of those quick links again from the top menu. Digital learning resources, the third one there on the right. And this was developed over the past couple years. It was named the Distance Learning Resources webpage, and we've sort of started to go through it and remove more of the really distance learning specific things, but most everything can be used in person as well. And so I just want to give you a quick tour of this. We have some of the basic digital tools that were used a lot were Remind, Google Classroom, and Google Meet. Remind is our app that we use to send notices home, and all the district is on there, so you can, your principal can be sending messages to all families. You can send messages to your families through Remind, and if you want to learn more, we'll be having Remind Tech Tank sessions coming up later on. You can sign up on KickUp. And then Google Classroom and Google Meet. With the distance learning being over, you might not be using Google Meet so much, but obviously for trainings, we'll be using it, and you might use it for parent-teacher conferences. And then the first link to digital tools takes you to a page where we have like all the instructional tools that you might want to use that we support. And if there's something that you want to use that we don't support, we have a form linked right here where you can suggest a course. We're always learning new things too. But first we have them kind of organized by purpose. So if you're not sure what kind of tool you want to use, but you know that you want to showcase your students' learning, you want a way to take their work and get it out into the world, or you know that you're looking for something, way to make your lessons more interactive, this is a great way to kind of search for what tool you're looking for. Clicking on one of these will take you to a list of tools that suit that purpose. But if you know exactly what tool you want to use, we have them listed here in alphabetical order with a brief description. So you can also just scan through here to see what looks like it might work for you. And each of these links to tutorial documents or videos that we created. So that's the digital tools. And then under professional development, we have our Tech Tank. We advertise that on KickUp and here, but this one is a little bit more visually appealing. So not just text, but we have our slide deck showing upcoming sessions. And right now, I think we've just got our Google Classroom and Synergy gradebook for secondary teachers, but there will be more posted in the coming weeks. So check back to see more. And then we also have some self-paced modules and webinars here. So if you want to watch things on your own time, or if there's a Tech Tank session that you really are looking forward to, we always post our videos here in the Tech Tank archive. So there we have 10 archived sessions from last year, and actually most of them were 30 minutes. So there were 2 sessions. So there are probably about 20 different tech tanks already loaded into the archive. And that's a great way to learn a new tool when you have time. So without getting too off track here, there are also some tutorials for students here. So if you're looking for a video that shows your students how to turn in work in Google Classroom, sometimes there's a lot that you won't have to recreate yourself because we've already made several, and many of them have been translated into Spanish. Thank you, Janie. So this is a good place to look for if you want to show your students how to check their progress in AR. I know we have a lot of elementary teachers here, so there's a video on that linked right here. So any of these videos here, you're welcome to share. It's taking a moment to load, but yeah, most of these are in video form, and if you want to share them with your students, you can. Let me see. You can click on the YouTube icon here, and that will open the video in YouTube. And then from here, just as you share any YouTube video, you just click the share button, and that'll give you that link to copy and send out to your students. All right. And let's see, I talked about all of the things that are on the digital learning website and mentioned that all of our Tech Tank sessions are also listed on KickUp. Our email address is here, dtick@pvusd.net. That email address goes out to Melissa, Janie, me, and Miranda. All 4 of us would get that email. So if you have questions about our Tech Tanks or a PD that you see on KickUp, feel free to email us anytime.
Yeah, Kate, the one thing I wanted to add about the digital learning site is at the bottom, or the if you click on the website, our website.
Mhm.
At the very bottom, if you are on social media, you could follow us for any like tech announcements that we send out.
Thank you, Janie. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Okay, so we've got a link here to the KickUp website where I know a couple of you have logged in. If you have trouble logging in, this is a new website for our district this year that we're using that to list all of the professional development offerings, allow teachers to register, and then track participation. So it's a good way for you to look and see how many hours of professional development you participated in, and to keep track of that. So I encourage you all to check out the KickUp website and see what's on offer. And if you have any difficulty logging in, since this is a new system, email dtick@pvusd.net. There were a few new teachers left out of the sign-up process, and we've had to add them as we go. So that you might run into that problem. And then we have one of our favorite things to do, and our main way of developing teachers professionally is our tech academies. And those are listed on the PVUSD website. Again, we start at the home page, and to get there, tech links and 2021-22 tech academies. This is a work in progress right now, but you can check out on this page what we are planning to offer this year. And these are academies that you can sign up for that require, a little bit more time and dedication than just coming into a Tech Tank drop-in session. But we offer academies on coding, teaching with video, using the Breakout EDU platform, on showcasing student learning, podcasting, stop motion animation. We're working on a gamification academy and one for innovating foreign language instruction. So we always encourage you to maybe seek out some colleagues to participate with you, because always learning with colleagues is more fun, and you're more likely to apply what you learn when you've got some partners in crime there to support you when you have questions. But not only do we provide the training for you, and sometimes there's even a little bonus like access to the digital breakout edu. That's a paid license that we would buy for you if you participate in the academy. So sometimes there's bonuses like that. But also we are happy to come in and lead lessons for your class or support you in leading a lesson as you gain your mastery in this academy. So it's not just sit and get, but support along the way. We really want to make sure that teachers use what they learn and that the students get the benefit of it, and that you're able to grow when you've got that support. So we encourage you to take a look at our academies and sign up.
I have a quick question about those.
Yeah.
I recently learned that there's Common Core tech standards, I believe. But when those aren't the prioritized standards on a school day, how do we justify bringing Tech Academy to our classroom?
Great question, Josette. So yeah, we kind of tailor all of our academies into showing how to integrate your current Common Core content and using tech at the same time. I know that even just the time, right? You've got to meet these standards. You've got to prepare the students for their standardized test. And so we always look for ways that you can use these tools to teach your math lesson, or use these tools while making sure that you're demonstrating the standards that your principal wants to see when they walk in the room.
Yeah, I think like the most common thing would be providing ways to showcase student work, like with our refresher academies here for sites that got equipment before, and your tech liaison could let you know what equipment your site has. But you could sign up for video and then have your students make some kind of instructional video or a commercial based on like a book they read or something like that. So like all of the tech academies aren't focused on the tool. It's like the tool is there to help you, teach what you have to teach.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I'm very interested, and I'll read more about this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your great questions. Again, we offer some institutes as well, which are a little bit shorter than an academy. It might be multiple days over the course of a school year, or multiple 2-hour sessions over the course of a school year. If you want to just do maybe a longer session on your winter, spring break, or summer break, we offer winter, summer, and spring institutes. And we'll be listing those on KickUp. Those are still in development for the winter. But that might be a 1 day or an 8-hour day, or maybe 2 days of intensive training. And again, we would support those outside in your classroom as well afterwards. But those will be listed on KickUp, so I recommend checking in before winter break. There's a link here to our coaching request form, which you can also email dtick@pvusd.net with your coaching requests, but this gives us a little bit more information about what exactly you're looking for. That's a great way to come in and say, this is the lesson I had in mind, or this is a unit that I usually do, and I'm looking to see how I can spice it up with tech, make it more engaging, bring it to a larger audience. So please fill out the coaching request form. And that's great if the academy or institute doesn't appeal to you. Just getting some personal coaching might be the way to go.
You can also get coaching from like math coaches and the reading coach, etc., like from using that form as well.
Thank you for the reminder, Janie. Yeah, that doesn't just go to us. That was all the coaches at the district office, and there's some in every department. For your email and your Cisco phone in your classroom, those would use your network accounts again, and all the voicemail that you get on that phone goes to your Gmail account, your PVUSD Gmail account. And if you need to learn more about using Gmail or Google Calendar, we've got a link here to some screencasts on those. And there's link to the quick reference user guide for your Cisco phone and voicemail. Student information system, our student information system, or SIS, is Synergy. And at the elementary level, you use that for finding student demographic information, like Josette was mentioning, looking up student birthdays, parent phone numbers, medical alerts, those kinds of things. And then you also take attendance in Synergy. Our secondary teachers at middle school and high school also use Synergy for their grade book and for report cards. At the elementary level, you would use DNA Illuminate for that. And on that Synergy teacher FAQ page that I linked in the chat and showed you earlier, you'd find most of the questions that you might have. And then we also have a playlist, a YouTube playlist of how-to videos linked here. All student passwords. You may need to help a student with their password. They forget. They're all standardized as their birth date. The first 2 characters are the first 2 letters of the month of their birth. And so this shows an example. If their birth date was January 1st, 2002, capital J, lowercase a, 01, 2002. As students get older, usually in like between 3rd and 5th grade, teachers might start recommending for students to reset that password to something more secure, away from the standard. When they're more responsible and able to remember their password, then you can have them change their password in the accounts portal. But if your students are in lower grades, you might just keep it at that standard birth date password until they're ready to manage that themselves.
And if they do change their password and they forget, which they often do, that's the perfect time where you can reach out to your site tech or your tech liaison, and they can reset the student's password back to their birthday.
Our next section is our curricular resources. And so we have access to the full Google suite of apps, and you can log in with your network account, right? That includes Google Classroom, Docs, Sheets, Forms, Slides, Jamboard, YouTube, and it's the same credentials as your email. Make sure that you include at pvusd.net after the username. When you log into Synergy, you don't need to include the at pvusd.net, but for all the Google apps, you do. Google Classroom, your Google Classroom should sync with your Synergy roster. So that means as students are added to your class throughout the year, or if they move away and get dropped from your class, your Google Classroom class list should automatically update based on what's in Synergy. And that would be if you, at the beginning of the year, you should have received an invitation to accept your Google Classroom. Rostered by Little Sis is the name of the tool that does that. And I think that's what the email would come from, Little Sis, and would say, your classroom has been created. Would you like to accept? Or just going to Google Classroom to the main dashboard where you see all your classes, you would see a tile there for the class that was created and accept. And that means that your classroom is linked with Synergy. If you just went to Google Classroom and created a brand new class, it wouldn't automatically update. So you want to make sure to accept the changes that come in your email. And this next part is for secondary teachers, but I don't believe we have any with us right now. So I'll go ahead and talk a little about Classroom Relay. There is a link here to access Classroom Relay, and it's a tool that you can use to see your students' Chromebook screens and browsing history. If you sign in to Classroom Relay and your students are on their district Chromebooks that are assigned to them, or I guess even if they're on a loaner, if they're logged into their district account, you'd be able to go on and see what they're browsing. So if you have a lot of students working at the same time, you can go on and make sure everyone's on task. If you see that they're off task and looking at something else online, you can close tabs or send them a message asking them to close a tab. You can also push out links to them. So if you want everyone to go to Google Classroom to look at your assignment, you can use Classroom Relay to push a button and everyone's Chromebook now is on Google Classroom. So that can be a pretty handy tool. And any support that you'd want with that, we would provide. Clever is our single sign-on portal. And this makes it easy for students to log into all the different programs and applications that you want them to use without having to always type out their username and password. So there's a link to Clever here at pvusd.net/student links. I'll show you what that looks like. Right here, this big blue C takes them into Clever. And there's also all these handy links here on this page for students that should be single sign-in through Clever, where once they click on the button, all they have to do is click login with Google or login with Clever, and it will automatically sign them in. And there should be a blue Clever button also on all of your school web pages. For our little students, they might want to use a Clever badge, which is a printout QR code that they can hold up to their Chromebook's camera that will allow them to log in. And that way they never have to enter that complicated password. And so if you want to download Clever badges for your students, there's a link to do that here. And that's, I believe, only available for TK through first grade. Is that correct, Janie?
Yeah, it's either or K2. And the Chromebooks will be set up by the site tech so that they can scan those QR codes. Not every student has that availability.
Oh, great. Thank you for that. So not only would you need to download the Clever badges, but have the site tech set up the device as well. Okay, and finally, the DNA Illuminate, right? That's where you would go to do your report cards. So hopefully you won't need to log into there for a while, but you might check out what you have available there. And I believe there's also some assessments that are shared through DNA Illuminate. So when it comes to that benchmark assessment time, you may need to log in there to access those or do some grading. And all your students should be automatically loaded in there, and you log in with your network credentials. Finally, I want to mention Gaggle. That's a program that we have that scans all students' Google Drives and any work they do in any of the Google apps to look for flagged content. Usually we're just looking for, or Gaggle is looking for language that includes threats or hate speech or signs that a student might be in danger, at risk of harming themselves. So those kind of things are scanned through Gaggle and immediately alerts site administrators. So we take precautions to make sure that the technology we want students to use in our district is being used for educational purposes, and that if there is an opportunity to reach out and help a student in need, that our administrators know about that. So that is what Gaggle does. This recorded class is going to be emailed out to all new teachers. We're awaiting a list of all new teachers. But if I emailed you a reminder yesterday, I'll definitely be emailing you this recording. And we'll also go ahead and post it on our Tech Tanks page. And that's where you can find it. If you don't get an email, you can find it on that distance digital learning website on the Tech Tanks page. Thank you all for attending our teacher orientation. And if you have any other questions, got a few minutes left, about 7 minutes here. So